So welcome back to this second video on analyzing data. Second in the sense that we look at the next group of research questionnaires. So the first one was on research question 1, research question 2, then you should be able to do on your own. And then now research question 3 is making use of the code's primary document table. So, well, if you don't follow the book, you can still learn something on how to use the code's primary document table and for what type of question this is good for. So we are now looking at the comments written on the Belkin's blog, so that's one document, as compared to those written on the New York Times blog regarding a number of different issues. So I'm not looking through all of these issues, but some of them, and then you can kind of click the other ones on your own. So we are comparing basically two documents, but you could also compare two document groups, and this is what I'm going to take up in research question 5, where we work with document families comparing males and females. So this is all what you can do with the code's primary document table if you want to make cross-case comparison. So if I open up the table now, some people say, oh, I'm familiar with that, that looks like SPSS. And not quite, but it does kind of resembles, often some people know from statistical programs. Yeah, we have, so to speak, the variables to select from, and then we need to run a cross-check, basically. So we have the codes here we can select from, or the code families, if you want to get a more aggregated view. And then we can look for the primary document tables, or we can primary documents or primary document families if you want to compare groups like here males and females. And here the red one is super codes, also super families are also always red, so we have some in here already, but later on we can compare males and females. For now we take the Belkin parenting block and the New York Times parenting block, so P3 and P5, and we want to look at effects of parenting. So we're taking the subcodes here again. Well, these are the negative ones, and let's then pick on the positive ones. That's enough for now, otherwise the table gets too many things in it. And I like to have the codes and the rows, because then that's easier to navigate or to work with in the Excel table. But you can also switch it around. We can count the number of quotations, the code, or we can also count words. So that's more for communication analysis, those who code smaller segments and they actually want to know how many words they have coded. So that's an option as well. So if you open Excel or run the report to export to Excel, you have to confirm it. Excel needs to convert it as an Excel compatible output. Now you see what I mean. This can just increase that code column here, and that makes it easier to handle. And a bit of modification now here, so it's and copy that one here. So now I can have it better in view the positive and negative aspects. So this is what was written on the Belkin's blog, and remember it's a small sample project, so we don't have like very big numbers here. If I calculate the sums again, yeah, it's easier. It's then to see maybe what are the issues mentioned in whether there's some difference, you can immediately visible. The New York Times blog, we have some fewer comments, but still these are issues that seems to be raised much more in the Belkin's parenting blog, and generally the effects of parenting. And then of course we can now look at other issues about what they did discuss in the New York Times, what were the main themes discussed there, if the effects of parenting maybe weren't that prevalent. So let's then focus more on P3 here. Well, let's maybe see where we can compare something interesting where we get very low numbers here. But as we had before, been looking at the co-occurrence table, if we look at numbers, this is only to gain an overview of where there might be something interesting in your data. And now to see how it works then to get a qualitative answer in the query tool, maybe we can pick on these two codes. Effects negative on relationships, and that one here on positive on personal growth. So we don't have the data here in Excel, we only gain an overview, and so we can remember them, the effects on relationships and personal growth in the two blocks. So we return to Atlas. Don't need that table, I can just minimize. And now to get the qualitative answer, we need the query tool again. And so I haven't set a filter now, so I have to scroll through all of these. So we had the effects on relationships, get a total of 13 quotations. And now in order to make a case-based comparison, we need the scope button in the query tool. Yeah, and explain this generally and how to handle this in the video on the introduction to the query tool. So if you haven't watched this, maybe that's another good idea actually to do. And so here we see primary document families. We can set as filters or single documents. So now in order to pick up on those quotations from the Belkin's block, we just double click on P3, and now see all the 5 quotations mentioned in the Belkin's block, and then can read them now by clicking and looking at the data in context, or by exporting them. And after we've done that, maybe write our summary notes in the memo. Again, remember we have a memo for research question 3. Then you start reporting on how you found your answer and what you found actually. And then we click on P5 and we get the 2 quotations, read them and think through and see, what's maybe different foci in the 2 blogs. But this might also give rise to the question, okay, if they're not talking so much about the effects of parenting, what are the issues they talk about in the New York Times? So we only get 2 and 5, it's 7. We had 13 total, but we also have about the data. So we're not only having the blog data, we also have the survey data and so on in this data set. So in case you wonder that the numbers don't add up to 13, yeah, because we're only now looking at 2 of the documents. So this is how you work in conjunction with the query tool again. So let me show you an example, just for the sake of, let me just get rid of these superfamilies, so actually I can later show you on how to make them. So we have the block data and the video and some image data and so on, and below here we have survey data, by mock-up data. And in our mock-up survey, people have responded to reasons for having children and reasons for not having children. And then this can be added to Atlas. There's also a video on importing survey data. It's pre-coded by the survey questions, and then you go in and add some further codes, as you see here. It's been done as well. Yeah, and actually if I use my colors here, you might see that better. So if you want to see your user-specific colors in the margin area, you right-click in the margin area and say Use Object Colors. So you see better the codes from the different groups that have been added here from the different categories, to be more precise. So here we see that the cases have been grouped into a number of different families. So this person has some college, it's a female, education, it's a female, has no children, and belongs to the survey data, is single, and responded to yes, no question here that children bring happiness. So just in way of introducing these data in case you're not familiar. So again, we go to the codes primary document table, and this time we look at the survey respondents, and actually we cannot look at effects of parenting because they haven't been asked about that. They have been asked for reasons for having children or not having children. So I enter my document groups now here, and looking for the codes reasons for having children, HC for having children, and let's just pick up on those. Should get a bit higher frequency. We only have 24 cases here. And so don't expect here the extraordinary results. So again, we leave the settings as they are, and we have to confirm. Again, our table now, we compare males and females on the various aspects. And these are the reasons for not having children. I'm going to put the X. So we see here difference between males and females. Again, nothing really interesting here with that small sample size apart from here, self-centeredness. We get equal numbers here in that sense. You know, male and females mentioned this as a reason for not having children, but we don't know anything about the content. So we have to go back to the data. I can just say, well, it's of equal importance. We have to actually see what they have said about this and how they have expressed that. So that table is not giving us an answer, it gives us only the answer where there is something interesting in the data. So we go to the query tool again. And I click on R, so we get to the first code with R, and for not having children. So self-centeredness. So we get 19 statements in total across the entire data set, but now we want to query males and females. So we have to now look here into the PD family column. So if we double click here, we get those 7 quotations from females. Go ahead and read them. Yeah, just a quick review. Just click here and review, or create an output here for your males and females. So now we double click on males, we get the 7 statements and can now read the data, review them, and write our thoughts on that in our research question memo regarding that particular question. So this was already research question 5, compared to survey answers of male and female respondents with regards to the reasons they provide for having or for not having children. This one goes a step further. It adds a next layer in the analysis. Is there a difference between male and female respondents with children regarding their perception of parenting, positive and negative? Well, yeah, I think we answer this now with regard to the survey respondents, but I think this question is meant for the male and female respondent from the block data. But for the sake of actually showing you how you get at your survey respondents for males and females, because if we query then the effects of parenting, we won't find anything. But we have here females. If we click on it, it's just a local filter, and we have the males here. And we have those with children, number of children, has children no, has children yes. So what we want is the intersection between all females and all that have children, yeah. And we have a Venn diagram here, and this is either or and. So you can switch between or and and. And I explained the Boolean operator in the video introducing the analysis tool. So it's also helpful here to understand the difference between and or. Here we need the intersection. So click on female and hold down the control key and children, and it will give us the intersection. So we have 9 females with children. Let me do the opposite. If I do the or operator, I get 19. So that means I get all females and all that have children. So I don't want that. So I want the and operator. So I can right click here on one of the selected codes and set create super family. So it's quite easy. Yeah? And then we have our first super family. So quite straightforward. We do the same for males. Holding down the control key, children yes. So we get 6 of them. Right click, create superfamily. So voila. And now you can go ahead and query males and females with who have children, and do the same maybe for those who don't have children. So now you can combine these code families in any way you want. And these are not code families, but you can do the same with code families, your primary document families, and query your data in all kinds of ways and the kind of groups you might be interested in. And it's also, then it gets exciting, and it's gonna be fun if you then can explore this and can explore that. You've seen how easy it is to create groups, and if you go to the primary document table again, if we had higher numbers here, they show up, and immediately go ahead and compare males with children and males without children. We can just do this now. Maybe on that reason for not having children we had before, and see what we get for not having self-centeredness. And we see that they're actually more, it's more females with children who express the issue of self-centeredness, and so if it's probably we had about equal numbers, so more males without children who mention it. Yeah, so it can kind of build your analysis step by step, but these data is entirely fictional, so no interpretation in terms of difference between males and females, at least no real ones. Yeah, it's all made up data. Not the blog data, they are real data, but these data are real. So I want to stop this video here now, because if I move into answering that question for the blog data, I'm going to need different tools. We need to work with the code concurrence table again, because these data is coded, it's not case-based data, and we have to do something different here. So I prepare another video where I show the answer of research question 6 for the blog responded. See you there, maybe, if you get into if you get into the spirit and see how fun it actually is to work with the coded data. Once it's coded, once your coding system is built up, and then you can query it in all kinds of ways and hopefully get the answers you want to get from your data set. So bye for now.